Will and his family are reeling after Bridget's shocking paternity reveal, and Luna has been arrested. Editors independently choose all of the products and services displayed. However, Soaps.com may earn a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the merchant may obtain certain auditable data for financial reporting. At Bill's house, Bridget has conducted the paternity test, and Will begs her to tell him he is not the father. As they drag it out, everyone in the room speaks up. Finally, Bridget nods and adds, "Will, you're the father." Will yells, "No. That test is incorrect." Bill instructs her to run it again, but Bridget says there is no need. Stepping into the spotlight, Luna proclaims, "A mother knows." She informs Will that they are going to be a family, prompting Elektra to announce that she will be sick. Luna has puppy dog eyes for their adorable, innocent little infant. How surprising is it? Brooke, Ridge, Finn, and Taylor discuss how Luna may be carrying Will's baby after she defiled him. Taylor is relieved that Luna cannot alter the outcomes. Brooke hopes Will is not obligated to Luna for the rest of his life. She goes on to describe how crushed everyone would be. Ridge seems unconcerned about who the child is, and Luna is returning to jail. She will be far away from Steffi and Elektra. Ridge worries how Finn feels about putting Luna back in prison. The doctor emphasizes that his top priority is Steffi and the children. Just then, Brooke learns that Will is the father, causing dismal expressions all around. The revelation is so stunning that Ridge feels sorrow for Bill. He also understands what he needs to do next, so he takes out his phone. After Ridge exits the room, Taylor announces that it is time to tell Steffi about Luna. Luna will be off the streets, so they'll all be safe. Finn can't believe it's his kid they're talking about. She's sick and dangerous, and she needs to be locked up. Ridge reappears, murmuring that he needs to take care of something. Will Luna evade the consequences? Back at Bill's, Bridget prepares to go, and Luna praises her for saving her life at the hospital. She did it again today. Bridget, unimpressed, says her goodbyes. After Brooke's daughter has left, Luna begins to speak, but Katie and Will both tell her to stop. Luna encourages them to feel joy. When she introduces herself as their future daughter-in-law, Elektra becomes involved. Bill informs Luna that she is deluded. Undeterred, Luna says that she and Will be doing this together. She's confident Will come around. As Luna looks at a framed photo of Will on the mantle, Bill apologizes to his son for failing to protect him from that predator. Will and Katie must restrain him as he rages against Luna for targeting his son. Katie reminds him that Luna is carrying their grandchild. Luna compliments her for accepting the situation. Katie turns against her. "I will not accept you. You will never be a part of my son's life." Luna, misguided, claims to be carrying a tiny Spencer inside her. Will gets in her face and tells her that she disgusts him. Luna assures him that they had sex and that they will have a beautiful life together with a kid. As Luna asks Elektra if she has anything to say, Deputy Chief Baker enters and informs her that she has been arrested for kidnapping and attempted murder at the beach house. Luna resists cops' attempts to imprison her, stating that she is carrying a Spencer baby and refuses to return to prison. Baker sneers, saying he could care less. Luna begs Will, Bill, and Katie to listen, but they all stare at her blankly. She believes they phoned the cops. Elektra informs her, "It was me." She'll eventually be confined in a frigid cage like the psychopathic criminal they all know she is. "You may be carrying Will's child, but you will never be in his life." Bridget Forrester's trembling hands lifted the envelope in the Spencer Mansion study and announced the contents in a voice barely above a whisper. The room froze. The DNA test confirmed with 99.9% certainty that Will Spencer was the father of Luna Nozawa's baby. Before the stunned silence could settle, Deputy Chief Baker strode in and placed Luna in handcuffs, triggering a cascade of gasps, tears, and betrayal across the gathered families. Bridget had insisted on conducting the paternity testing herself to avoid accusations of tampering, and the tension had been palpable. Katie stood rigid, Bill's jaw clenched, Elektra covered her mouth. Ridge and Brooke exchanged haunted looks, and Luna, pale and defiant, stared at the results like a verdict she had long feared. Bridget's disclosure shattered alliances and unleashed emotional upheaval. Will's face distorted with shock and horror, and his legs wavered as if he were about to collapse if not grabbed by Katie. Luna's calm faltered just slightly when the deputy's badge shimmered in the glaring overhead light and he advanced, cuffing her wrists and swallowing her protests with the gavel of truth that had been given. The Spencer and Forrester empires collapsed under the weight of scandal at the same time. This moment marked the end of weeks of increasing tension and speculation. Since Luna's stunning reappearance, after being feared dead, her revelation of pregnancy has stunned everyone who thought she was lost forever. From the beginning, when whispers arose that Luna had led Will into intimacy while he was intoxicated, masked, and vulnerable, to the Spencer family's growing suspicions, the story had been one of broken trust and hidden transgressions. Bridges had burned behind the scenes. Will had confided to Electra his confusion about what had happened, how he felt betrayed even by his own body. Luna said she loved Will, swore she knew the child's father, and demanded acceptance, but Bill and Katie needed confirmation. The Spencers' relationship had evolved into a pressure cooker of fear, hope, wrath, and denial. Meanwhile, in the Forrester realm, Ridge and Brooke were furious with Lee Finnegan's decisions. How could she discreetly save Luna's life while hiding her return? Why take the risk of deception? In the shadows, Sheila Carter, Deacon Sharp, Taylor Hayes, and Finn watched, schemed, and waited as their own loyalties and secrets became entangled with the heart of this epic storm. Bridget's act of doing and publicizing the DNA test was a statement of control and trust, or at least a claim to it. She had argued with Katie and Bill that only she, who was not associated with either side, could be trusted to conduct an unbiased test. Whether she was motivated by devotion to Will or a greater moral ethic, the consequences of her decision were significant. Even with her bravado, the revelation that Will was the father spelled the end of Luna's innocence and distance. Her labyrinth of duplicity, manipulation, and well-hidden depravity was finally revealed. When Deputy Chief Baker returned to the room, he exuded a sense of foreboding. There would be consequences. Luna was handcuffed and let out, her defiance reduced to murmurs, her future slipping away with each step to the door. Katie, though terrified, bowed curtly to the officers, requesting Luna be treated properly under due process while privately deciding to fight for custody. Bill's expression was furious. The thought of his son being tied by Luna's carelessness angered him. Ridge and Brooke exchanged glances that conveyed both vindication and dread. How far this information would go into Forrester business was unknown. Electra, pale and wide-eyed, stared at Will as if he had transformed into a stranger. Her anguish was raw, and her sense of betrayal was primordial. Meanwhile, Luna, straining to keep her cool, fixed Will with a glance that combined love, rage, terror, and defiance, her last look before being carried away. The arrest, however dramatic, was simply the beginning. In the days ahead, relationships would splinter, alliances would alter, and the entire weight of deception would fall on the Spencer and Forrester empires. Will, accused of fathering Luna's child under the influence of drink and deception, would question everything: his memory, his guilt, and whether he had ever consented at all. Electra, deceived as she was, had to reconcile her feelings for Will with the realization that he might now share a relationship with Luna and the unborn child, one that could bind him forever. Katie and Bill, torn between their paternal inclinations and allegiance to Will, would have to strike a balance between safeguarding their son and defending the family name. Ridge and Brooke would have to answer not only as in-laws, but also as protectors of the Forrester legacy. To what extent would they immerse themselves? And Lee Finnegan, caught in the midst of the storm, would be questioned, analyzed, and haunted by the decisions she'd made to save Luna's life, even though those decisions threatened to ruin her reputation and her son Finn's confidence. Gravity, on the other hand, is rarely given a free pass in the soap opera industry. Rumors circulated that Bridget might have fabricated or manipulated the sample, or that a third party had involved. Indeed, rumors arose that Bridget may fake a test to save Will from a fate intertwined with Luna. The prospect heightened tension. No one could believe even the authenticity of the DNA test, especially since Luna's arrest was so soon behind it. Could someone from Bill's ranks, the Forrester side, or Luna's allies, change the course of history? The question would torment each player. But for the time being, as Luna disappeared through the doorway in handcuffs, the known fact dominated the room. Will was the father? Luna would face legal ramifications, and the family would have to respond. In the immediate aftermath, legal fights erupted. Luna's defense team would question the DNA sample's chain of custody, the validity of Bridget's technique, and the need for independent retesting. Bill and Katie, brace for battle, would gather lawyers, specialists, and media backing to claim custody or at least influence over how this child and this scandal played out. Will, shaken, would alternate between supporting Luna, the mother of his kid, and shutting her out for her betrayal. Electra, split between hurt and affection, threatened to walk away even as she wrestled with what Will needed immediately. Ridge and Brooke, protecting Steffi and Forrester's interests, would choose whether to intervene openly or remain in the background, while their relationships with Bill and Katie were damaged by treachery and mistrust. But the emotional repercussions would not wait for judicial proceedings. In private, Will would express his guilt. Had he been misled, drugged, or duped? Could he ever fully consent to what Luna supposedly did? Luna would weep in jail in quiet moments, thinking not only about her own fate, but also about the child she was carrying, seeing in her heart a glimmer of hope that she might still fight for. Bill would face his own fury, sense of betrayal, and paternal protectiveness, while Katie would try to keep her cool, to balance her love for Will with her sorrow at what Luna had done to their kid. Throughout the Spencer estate and Forrester compound, the air would crackle with whispered talks, phone calls behind closed doors, and growing fear of the consequences. Beyond the immediate area, individuals such as Deacon Sharp, Taylor Hayes, Sheila Carter, Finn, Poppy, and others would take possibilities. Deacon, still suffering from Sheila's disclosures and his own moral battles, saw Luna's turmoil as a mirror of his own tangled loyalties. Taylor, ever the moral compass, might advise caution or uncover concealed evidence. Sheila, who is always scheming, could manipulate evidence or alliances to protect Luna or herself. Finn would have to confront his mother Lee's secret decisions. How long had she known Luna was alive? What cover-ups had she created? Could she have tampered with the evidence? Poppy, long separated from her daughter, would be torn between revenge and love. And they would all sit calmly and watch the Spencer/Forrester collision, tethered by familial ties, ancient debts, and ambition. As the days passed, more narrative twists would surface. Perhaps problems in the DNA technique would be uncovered, especially in today's society of backstabbing. Maybe witnesses will come forward. Perhaps Luna has an ace in her sleeve, evidence of compulsion or manipulation to reduce her guilt. Meanwhile, in her solitary cells, Bridget might be wrestling with guilt. Had she done the right thing? Was her decision to personally administer the test unbiased or influenced by loyalty? Would the outcome she provided be upheld in court? The dramatic tension would rise. In soap opera logic, the final truth is rarely completely final. The custody battle would also rage. Bill and Katie would claim that Luna's arrest and previous transgressions rendered her unfit. Luna's supporters would contend that maternal rights and the child's voice must be honored, and that the test confirmed an unbreakable relationship. Will, caught in the middle, would be asked whether he would support Luna as father and protector, or hide his son from his mother's mistakes. Electra, scorned, would seek answers, explanations, heartbreak, and resolution. In every courtroom, interrogation room, and living room, lines would be drawn. Luna would struggle for her freedom and recognition, while the Spencers would fight for legacy, innocence, custody, and redemption. Despite this, glimmers of humanity would occasionally shine through the drama. Perhaps Luna, handcuffed, would apologize to Katie or Bill, admitting the chaos she caused but pleading for the opportunity to prove love. Perhaps Will would stand by Luna in a quiet setting, whispering that the outcome did not diminish his commitment to doing right by their child, even while his heart broke for Electra. Perhaps Katie would pay Luna a visit in jail, warring mother protectiveness with loathing and reminding her that she is not the same girl she pretended to rescue. Perhaps Bridget, in a moment of introspection, would consider if loyalty to Will could ever justify choosing him above the truth. Perhaps Ridge and Brooke would debate whether to involve Forrester Power in the Spencer fight or to remain aside, hoping to maintain neutral ground. These moments would give the disaster a sense of tragedy and emotion, rather than merely spectacle. The tale would expand in the next weeks. The Spencer and Forrester families, once linked by alliance, business, marriage, and mutual respect, would find themselves at odds. Steffi may demand the truth regarding Luna's survival and paternity, confronting Lee and Finn with what was withheld. Poppy, once resigned to loss, may seek for visitation or influence, causing further anguish and secrecy. Deacon and Sheila's marriage could crumble even more, especially if Sheila's involvement or knowledge of Luna's plots is revealed. Taylor may act as a confidant or moral compass, influencing one or more crucial characters. Even minor plot points, misplaced paperwork, manipulated lab reports, secret recordings, could become essential as the program feeds on slow burns and incremental reveals. And always hovering over this conflict was the unborn, nameless infant whose destiny would be formed. Luna's pregnancy, previously a claim, was now legally confirmed, yet the child's future would be determined by court's decisions, parental collaboration or conflict, and whether side acquired custody or control. Would the infant be reared under Spencer's protection, away from Luna? Or would Luna struggle for mother rights, determined to raise the kid in her arms against the odds? Would Will be a neutral father, anchoring in the middle? Or would he take a side? Every decision would take into account not only personal emotions, but also legal strategy, public perception, and power relations. In the halls of justice and the mansion's private rooms, the unborn child would be a prize, a symbol, and a battleground. Perhaps new disclosures will emerge in the last act of this episode cycle. Bridget says she paused before performing the test. Someone admits to swapping or tampering with samples. Evidence emerges of an unknown third party attempting to manipulate outcomes. In a dramatic hearing, Luna may break down and reveal a version of the truth that further complicates matters. Will may seek a second test, or incriminating expert testimony may emerge. In the end, while the public and viewers witnessed family breakdowns, betrayals, arrests, and alliances destroyed, the central dilemma remained unresolved. How do you balance biological truth, consent, betrayal, mother love, paternal protection, and legacy in such a chaotic world? As a result of Bridget's shocking announcement and Luna's arrest, the Spencer and Forrester families were left unmoored, forced to navigate a new reality ruled by DNA, legal power, emotional wounds, and the question of whether love, trust, and redemption could be rebuilt in a house built on deception. And, while the arrest is a tangible turning point, the greater battle, the fight for soul, reputation, and a child's future, will blaze across every heart and room in this shattered dynasty. As Luna spent her first night behind bars, the solitude of her cell pressed in harder than the cold steel on her wrists. Memories of the night with Will flooded her thoughts, not just the intimacy, but also the perplexity, the blurred borders of consent, and the emotional concoction that resulted in this unraveling. In her heart, she still believed she hadn't purposefully broken his confidence, but the rest of the world saw her as a manipulator, a liar, and a woman who used a pregnancy to cement her power position. The world was moving quickly without her now. The issue had already made waves in the media, with the Spencer heir and a woman related to Forrester accused of seduction and deceit. The paparazzi mobbed the courthouse, the jail, and even the hospital where Bridget had the DNA processed. Every moment was disputed in both the public and private worlds. The tension inside the Spencer home had become cemented. Will retreated into himself, barely communicating and repeating everything from the night before to the moment Bridget read the findings. Katie, as furious as ever, promised to defend him, not only as his mother, but as a woman who understood how these stories might devastate reputations and futures. Bill, rushing around the corridors in righteous rage, began looking into legal options to ensure Luna never came near their family again. Even while his attorneys discussed restraining orders and custody petitions, Bill kept one eye on his son, keenly knowing that no legal tactic could heal Will's heartache.